Hello and welcome back to Now You Know More. If you're new here, what we like to do is explore those little known facts about history. We put together another video of 15 interesting historical stories, and I hope you enjoy them as much as we have enjoyed finding them for you. The last one on our list was mind-blowing, as nobody, including myself, even knew it happened. Please enjoy. Did you know you used to be able to buy life insurance at an airport vending machine? That's what John Graham did. Right after he planted a bomb in his mother's suitcase, hugged her goodbye, and she boarded Flight 629. The plane exploded shortly after takeoff, killing all of the 44 people who were on board. John was sent to the gas chamber for his crime. Did you know the gas chamber was actually implemented in the United States? This was a solution to finding a more humane way of execution. This happened in 1924, 15 years prior to it being used in the Holocaust. After multiple botched executions, this method was deemed the most dangerous, complex, time-consuming, and expensive way to administer the death penalty.
So 1,100 men went in the war. 316 men come out. The Sharks took the rest June the 29th, 1945. Anyway, we delivered the bomb.
Was Quint telling the truth? Yes, the USS Indianapolis delivered components such as uranium and other things to make Little Boy, the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. And yes, 1,195 crewmen went into the water when a Japanese sub fired 2 torpedoes into its side. 300 men went down with the ship, and for 4 days, 895 men were left to face exposure, dehydration, saltwater poisoning, and shark attacks. When they were discovered, only 316 men had survived. Now you know. On June 25, 1905, Harry Thal, a multi-million-dollar playboy, shot and killed the popular architect Stanford White. The reason for the slaying was because Stanford had allegedly drugged and taken advantage of Evelyn Nesbit, robbing her of her purity prior to marrying Harry. The news of the event was so popular that for the first time in American history, the jury had to be sequestered for the duration of the trial. But still, it ended in a deadlock. Harry was tried for a second time, where he was acquitted due to the fact that he was temporarily insane. He was committed to a mental institution where he escaped and made his way to Canada. In 1913, he was recaptured, and in 1915, he was declared sane and released. Bruce Ivins, an award-winning microbiologist and a senior biodefense researcher, was helping the FBI investigate the anthrax attacks in 2001. That was until the investigation turned onto him. He claimed that he did not have it in his heart to kill anybody, but there were times that he would black out and wake up fully dressed with no memory of where he was or why. As evidence and pressure from the investigation grew, Bruce slowly started to lose his mind, and he was committed to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. But when he found out that he was facing the death penalty for the anthrax attack, he purposely overdosed on Tylenol. Do you think Bruce knew what he was doing, or was he a real-life Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Many people believe that George Washington's teeth were made out of wood. The truth is, when he took his oath of office, he was actually using dentures made from ivory, brass, gold, and extracted teeth from slaves. But it should be noted that he paid 122 shillings for 9 of the teeth. The reason people thought that they were made out of wood is because of the stains on the teeth, making them appear to be wooden. Now you know, like and subscribe. Did you know in 1894 the Pullman Railway lowered wages for their workers, and this pushed most of them and their families into starvation? As a result, the union instructed them to strike. The strike lasted from May 11th to July 20th. With a bee's nest of controversy starting to flare about workers' rights, President Cleveland attempted to calm things down by making Labor Day a federal holiday. But that failed to end the strike. Ultimately, with most of the nation's freight and passenger traffic west of Detroit being shut down, a solution had to be made. And that is when President Cleveland sent the U.S. Army in to stop strikers from obstructing the trains. And now you know why we celebrate Labor Day. Have you ever heard of Charles Foley? Charles was born on September 6, 1930, in Lafayette, Indiana. He left school in the 8th grade to work as a salesman before serving in the Air National Guard. Once he finished his service, he worked for the Ford Motor Company on the assembly line. He then moved to a job working for Lakeside Toys in Minneapolis. At the time of his death in 2013, he held 97 different patented inventions. But what was the most notable thing that he has done? Well, that was creating the game Twister. Now you know. Was Jaws based on a true story? Well, in 1916, during a deadly heat wave, thousands of people flocked to the New Jersey seashore to cool off and relax. But between July 1st and the 12th, 4 people were killed and 1 person was critically injured from shark attacks. Despite this being a real event, Peter Benchley, the writer of Jaws, stated just weeks before he passed away that Jaws was entirely fiction. Now you know, like and subscribe. Over 100 years ago, a gypsy told a little girl that you shall be beloved and famous, but when you think that happiness is yours, its Dead Sea fruit shall turn to ash in your mouth. You shall throw away thousands of dollars. You shall want for a penny, mock for love, seek love without finding. 7 men shall love you, but never will you wed. The little girl was the first American supermodel, Audrey Munson. Her figure can be found all over New York in the sculptures that I've been showing you here. Her father said she spent money like water. She held a contest to find a husband, but actually failed to find one. And she dated many rich men, but none of them ever married her. By the time that she was 39 years old, she fell out of fame and fortune and attempted to commit suicide. Because of that, her mother had her committed, and she remained at the St. Lawrence Hospital for the Insane until she died alone at the age of 104. Now you know. In 1907, the first canine unit was implemented in America. They were 5 Belgian sheepdogs. Their primary role was to patrol at night, where they were trained to corner anyone who was not in police uniform. Due to the fact that they were mistrained, causing them to occasionally take down anyone out for a late night stroll, and because of the introduction of the patrol car, the canine unit was dismantled. There were many unsuccessful attempts at creating a canine unit using different breeds and handling techniques, but all failed between 1920 and 1950. Success was finally found when the Baltimore City Police Department instituted the Modern Canine Corps in 1956, where they trained dogs and handlers together, creating a bond that would last a lifetime. Did you know in 1901 Buffalo Bill's Wild West train crashed into another one and Annie Oakley's car took a direct hit? This caused her to fall into a coma for 17 hours. When she woke up, she found she was completely paralyzed on her left side. The trauma from the event even turned her hair white. Amazingly, she made a full recovery, and she was still setting records all the way up until 1924. What is the ghost dance? The ghost dance was a spiritual movement that started in the late 1800s among Native Americans living on reservations in the western United States. It was started by a Paiute Indian named Wovoka, who claimed to be a messiah sent by God to prepare the Indians for their salvation. According to Wovoka, proper practice of the ghost dance would reunite the living with the spirits of the dead, bring the spirits to fight on their behalf, end American westward expansion, and bring peace, prosperity, and unity to the Native American people throughout the region. Jim Thorpe was an American gold medalist and a co-founder of the NFL. But did you know when he passed away in 1953, his wife secretly sold his body to a town called Malchunk? So now the town is named after Jim Thorpe, and they did this to bring in tourism. It worked, as it is one of the most beautiful little towns in Pennsylvania to visit. But the family was upset and filed many lawsuits to bring Jim Thorpe home to Oklahoma. But the courts filed in the town's favor, and now his eternal resting place is away from family and friends and in a town he himself has never even heard of. Do you think it's right that the town has legal rights over his remains, or do you think he should go back with his family? Why is the Statue of Liberty's torch off-limit to the public? Well, that would be because on July 30th, 1916, German spies planted bombs on Black Tom Island in New York Harbor. They successfully blew up American-made ammunition that was being supplied to U.S. allies in World War I. The explosion killed 4 people and destroyed what would be today $540 million worth of military goods. The explosion was equivalent to a 5.0 earthquake and caused damage up to 25 miles away. The Statue of Liberty had structural damage from the blast, and despite that being repaired in 1984, they never reopened the torch to the public. Now you know, and if you want to know more, hit that subscribe button.